Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend, the Bay Area stand-up comedian, Catherine Cyr, and I'm going to ask her some questions. I'm not going to tell you guys yet what I'm going to ask her yet, and she doesn't even know what we're going to talk about yet and stuff. I love doing podcasts with her because she's so nonchalant and cool and not easily offended. I love talking to Catherine, and I just adore her so much. And I'm having her on the show again today for the fourth time. And nothing much to it. That is all. So, yeah, here is my new interview with Catherine Cyr.
Hello.
Gabba Gabba, hey.
I love my Ramones.
I know. Oh, my God. Marky Ramone is going to be at Son of Monster Palooza, the horror convention in Burbank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he does count, even though he's not the original drummer, but he was there after the second or third album. I forget when Tommy dropped out, but, you know.
Yeah.
He became their producer anyway, but yeah, I'm a huge Ramones fan. I think I told you years ago I ran into Joey, and I was with this guy, friend of mine, and he's just like, Joey, and I'm like, shut up, dude, I want to meet him, right? And of course he was annoying, so Joey kept walking. I was like, thanks, buddy. I did meet Johnny, though, later on.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was at a concert. My friend's like, I think that's one of the Ramones sitting right behind you. And I'm like, it was back when he was hanging with Nicolas Cage, and he was with Lisa Marie Presley. And it was really funny because my friend's like, do you think Nicolas Cage was dating Lisa Marie? And I'm like, and then literally a couple weeks later it came out. I was like, oh, we were all at the U2 concerts, if you can believe that. But,
yeah. Oh, my God. That's crazy. So,
yeah.
So today you're having your wedding anniversary?
It's funny you should say that, yeah, because I keep forgetting. The other day I was telling my husband that we got, our rescue dogs, right? We got Bear, we got some Rocket Dog, and he's a Rottweiler mix. He's a big one. He's about 75 pounds. A great big lamb, though. He's just the sweetest guy. People, likes other dogs. There's nothing he doesn't like. It's really funny. He loves when the neighbors were out the other day, I took him out with me really quick to do something, and he just decided he's going to trot down the street and say hi to the neighbors, and I'm like, all right, there he goes. And they're like, oh, hey, Sam. So I'm like, there you go. He's got to check in with everybody. But anyway, so I was telling him, I said, oh, my gosh, it's the 3-year anniversary when we got there. And I was looking at a gift I got for my wedding. It was a scrapbook a friend of mine put together of all the years she and I were together, and then when I first met him, somehow they got a picture because I don't even remember them taking that, but I'm like, okay. But at any rate, we were looking at that, and it still didn't click. It's so funny. I'm like, we've had Bear now for 3 years, and I'm like trying to remember the date we got Bear, and my husband's like, we got tomorrow's our wedding anniversary, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. Yeah, he will never get in trouble for me because every year I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. It happens so quickly.
Nice. Did you wake him up with a blowjob today?
Nope, sorry. I woke up and when I first start to awake, I am immediately surrounded by 2 dogs that want their breakfast and a parrot that needs to be fed. So it's like, the minute I rouse the slightest bit, they're like, oh, yay, we get to eat again. I'm like, you guys are starving, right? And I'm taking care of the neighbor's dog, too, so I had to head over there. And plus, my husband sleeps really late. He prefers to work at night and sleep during the day, so. Yeah, but it was really funny. I fed them both, and then they both decided to go back down to the main den. We got beds for them in our bedroom, and they both like, no, we've had breakfast, now we're going to go back to sleep. I was like, all right, there you go.
Nice. Yeah, I've been...
Well, it's usually me they follow, too. It's like, I've got 2 mama's boys here. It's like, I go to sleep, and Bear always follows me. But this morning, he's like, oh, you're going to stay up, I'm going back to bed. I was like, there you go.
Yeah, the last couple of months, oh my God, has just been fucking insane for me, I'll tell you. that
Yeah,
week.
you've been having some trouble, I saw, too, but you're still going down to L.A., right?
That was good. Okay, so this is what happened. All in the same week, right? My show that we were gonna do got canceled because of Paul and his bullshit. Then the person I was gonna stay with in LA got in trouble with the law, and then my mom took a fall at work and had to have surgery.
Oh, boy.
All in the same week. It was fucking insane. And
Yeah.
that was in middle of May, and just since then, my mom's been recovering nicely and doing okay. My brother's fucked though; he just won't stop drinking. It's just a fuck situation.
So it's an addict?
Yeah, pretty much.
They can't, until they decide they want help, there's nothing you can do. It's hard, but,
Yeah.
I definitely have a couple addicts in the family. When I was younger, I kept trying to help a friend of mine who was an addict, and, it wasn't until I got a little bit older, it's like, until they're ready to clean up, nothing's going to happen, and she did, though. She cleaned up, but, it's really hard to beat, even if they want to, So Are you there taking care of your mom?
I'm taking care of her, yes, and trying to figure out what to do. We went to LA back in April, and we had a blast. I mean, she fucking embarrassed me a little bit, but we had a blast for the most part. And this guy that I interviewed, who's a writer, director, producer, actor, he offered me a part in a movie that he's trying to make that he hasn't gotten financing for yet. And so I'm waiting on that at the moment. We had dinner with him the first night we were in town, and I'm trying to figure that one out. And then I might go back in September to see Marky at that convention and so many other people that are going to be there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I wanted to go back down, but I started grad school August 20th, so it's just going to be here before we know it. So I met some of my friends from LA are actually coming up next weekend. My friend and her fiance. Just want to, take them into the city and all that. But just be careful. I mean, it happens anywhere, not just LA, but people like your friend Paul, people make a lot of promises they can't keep. So, you just want to be careful, and, you kind of have to take people at their face level. Like, it's not just LA, like I said, but anywhere. But when people are offering you movie roles, things like that, you're going to hear a lot of that stuff. I mean, I was supposed to be in the November Rain video, but I just didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Dress like you're going to a wedding. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I didn't show up. And they expect that, too. But, I mean, Motley Crue's video, Smoking a Boys Room, they did that right down the street from my house. It was really funny. And my friends went, and one of my friends was actually in the front row banging his head, and I'm like, oh, my God, it's so funny if I come and see that. So he goes, well, because he's not a Motley Crue fan. He goes, well, I want to see in the video. So I was like, oh, you were right there. But it was really funny when they told me the video location. I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's like literally 6 houses away from where I live. So I got home, but, then they wanted you all dressed up for the clubs, and I was like, I just got home from work. I'm like, nope. So they have to deal with people flaking, number one. And number two, even if things are coming together, they can fall apart very quickly.
Well, that's what happened. This was a year planning this move, and people keep telling me, people keep warning me about LA. Let me tell you something. San Mateo prepared me for LA. I have been around that kind of shit my whole life. I can handle it. I don't go into it expecting that it's going to be different. I know it's not, but at least now I know how to handle things. I worked in the bar business. I hosted comedy night. I hosted trivia night. I dealt with a lot of bullshit. I can do that too in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm a native. I love Los Angeles. When I'm back home, I'm back home. That's where I'm from. So a lot of people like to trash it, but it's like anybody else's hometown. That's my hometown, and I love it. I mean, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I did end up actually physically living in Hollywood for a while, which was more convenient going to clubs and stuff, because that's pretty much where I lived. But, you know, when I was probably from 18 to the age of about 28 or so. But anyway, I still love it. I mean, but again, I guess, too, when you're young and you live in the city, too, people always try to get you to come and do stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, no thanks. You know, most of the time you knew somebody was pretty sleazy, but they like to make promises, especially to young people, I think.
Well, you gotta you gotta do your research on the person before you know, commit to anything, you know. And
oh yeah, no, I again, you know, most of the time I was like even some friends of mine that have this band, this guy wants to manage them, and I'm like, well, who's he managed before you guys, you know? And they were new to the area, and I said, you know, what acts has he handled before you guys? And of course, he mentioned some names, and I'm like, I've never heard of any of these bands, you know? And then he starts trying to make excuses, and then of course the guy's never managed anybody, and he was really only trying to quote manage them because he was attracted to the lead singer. That was the whole thing, and I was like, something's up, this guy's not legit. You know, but some people, they're just like, no, you just gotta wait. And I'm like, no, you just gotta open your eyes. Even when you're young, too, that, you know, life just throws experiences at you anyway. But, you know, my parents had friends that worked in entertainment, too. So it was like, you know, and I guess when you just hear stuff from an early age moving on forward, you know, then you're like, oh.
Right.
You know. You kind of get a little bit more insight than somebody that's not, you know, from there. And, you know, everybody would come to Hollywood with big stars in their eyes. Like my friend's husband's from Italy, and he kept asking, you know, about movie stars and stuff like that. And I said, well, they're not in Hollywood. They are in the Hollywood Hills, some of them. I said, but, you know, and then he ended up, he's well over it now. He ended up working for restaurant owner, I think, by Robert De Niro. Like everybody was in there all the time. I would go and meet my friend for drinks, you know, their husbands work, and George Clooney's there, and, you know, stuff like that. So I also was raised that you don't bother famous people either. You know, my parents be like that, you know, don't go up to them, don't ask them for anything they're eating or they're doing whatever. So, you know, we were just raised that way too. My parents like, don't bother people when, you know, they're famous, because people do it to them all day, every day. But my friend's husband was really funny. We were at this coffee shop on the Sunset Strip, and this actress, she's been in a lot of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think her name is Julie with a K. She was on like Ally McBeal. She's a cute little blonde. Anyway, so that lady's on Ally McBeal, and he didn't recognize her. So, well, it was like when you first moved, and I said, there's a famous person there. And he goes, do you remember her name? I'm like, nope. But I've seen her on a lot of stuff. So he's like, oh. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, but like I said, he's well over it now. But, you know, you're going to do your research, and again, you know, you'll get there. You know, my mom always said everything happens for a reason. So you've got these delays and setbacks. Maybe that's because the opportunity that's waiting for you isn't ready yet. You know? Yeah,
I just fear waking up at 50 and not accomplishing anything. You know, I had that dream, I had that nightmare a couple of years ago, and I just fear that more than anything. I fear that, you know, turning 40 in 4 years.
Yeah, but you can't look at life like that. You gotta just, you know, most of us will not make a mark in history, and it's okay. Most of us will just go about, you know, their day-to-day lives. Both my parents are dead and my grandparents are dead. Granted, I will say this, my dad did work on the shuttles and the Apollos, and what he did made history. You know, and I'm glad I told him that before he died, because he goes, well, I never really thought of it that way. I said, Dad, the work you did is in the history books. Is it okay? So, but, you know, my grandparents, they didn't put a mark on anything, but they were still here and viable. You know, they mattered.
Yeah, but I survived a car accident. Like, that's almost a given to, like, make my mark on something.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I was in a very bad car accident when I was 19. Unlike you, I was not in a coma, though. I was just really mangled.
Yeah.
But it is funny, because every so often I could still hear the crash, even though it was so long ago. You know. So I'm 54 now, so... It's like, and again, I didn't get married till I was 47, so I mean, you know, I took a single life probably to the extreme. Granted, I met Tim when I was 36, though, so.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends that got married in their 20s, I wasn't ready to get married or anything like that. I was just having too much fun, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just happened to be that time the censorship was exploding with music, and, you know, it was fun.
Yeah.
The clubs and stuff like that, and, you know, wearing club clothes, all those things that, you know, you do when you're that age.
I get treated badly by a lot of couples like my age. You know, they think something's wrong with me because I'm not married or have kids, you know, and I'm not ready for that, you know, but they just don't get it. It's like a social status thing that's going on now.
That's weird, because I know, like, one of my friends was just drop dead gorgeous, and she has been with her recent boyfriend for, I think, about 2 years, and she's turning 50 this year, and she has no plans to have kids or get married, you know? And my younger brother, good-looking guy, 47, never married, no kids. Most of my friends don't have kids. There's a few that do. And some of them have one kid, but a lot of my friends ended up not having children. So I don't know why anybody would think that. They're showing, too, that people are just getting married later and later, you know, or not at all. You know, so I don't know why people would think that. I mean, my cousins were visiting, this was several years back. It was at another cousin's wedding in Oregon, and my cousins that are related to them came in from Indiana. Yeah, the one was talking about this guy, you know, and they were going to get married, and I'm like, wait, you're 19. I'm like, why would you get married at 19? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, don't do it. Please don't. Unfortunately, she kind of did. And, again, popped out 3 kids, and it's like she's young. Yeah, and that's it for her. I was just like, okay, you know, as long as you're happy. And I was like, don't get married at 19, for God's sake. Please hold off a couple years.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is their cousins who are older, that were getting married, he had just finished college, and she had one more, like, semester to do. And their parents had also told them they had known each other since they were infants, so they never dated anybody else. His parents and my cousin didn't want her daughter to keep seeing the same guy, so they tried to get them to split up in college just to date other people, and then they were like, we can't do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that they disliked him or they disliked her. It had nothing to do with that. They just wanted them to have more of a life experience, and the 2 of them said, okay, we'll try to see other people, and they're like, can't do it. They're like, don't want to see other people. So at any rate, they made them wait that long at least. So then here's their other cousin going, well, I'm going to get married to this guy. And I'm like, at least they waited till they finished college, you know. And then they didn't have kids right away. They waited a couple of years to start having kids, too. I was like, if you want to follow a perfect program, I guess you could view that way. But the thing is there is no perfect program.
Yeah.
You know. So don't let people tell you that.
Oh no, I when I was in my 20s, you know, all I wanted to do was get married and have kids. Now I'm glad I didn't, because I don't want that. I just want a career. You know, that's all I want now.
Well, most people that got married in their 20s are not married anymore.
Yeah.
So, that I know anyway.
The same here.
My one friend, I just talked to him, really good-looking guy. Like, every time, he and I were very good friends in high school. And it was like, every time I go in the girls' bathroom, girls would follow me and go, so what's the story with you and him, you know? And, you know, every girl was after him in high school. But he never got, to this day, he's still not married. He wanted to have kids, but he had kids with one woman, and then they broke up, and then he had 2 more kids with another one. He's got 4 kids, 2 different women, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to get married, and he's like, I'm glad I didn't, because both of his exes are, you know, his one son was living with his mom for like a year, and he got him back, and the kid had put on 100 pounds, so he's like, I think she feels she loves her kids, but he's like, all she does is eat junk food, and she's letting the kids eat junk food, and, you know, he's more health conscious and stuff like that, so, you know, it's like, it's that kind of stuff. It's not like she's a jerk and there's not any real drama. He just doesn't care for her overall lifestyle. You know, so it's not like there's animosity. But with some people, I know there's absolute animosity, and I'm like, wow, how can you hate somebody so much? You broke up, move on. But I do have some friends where there's a lot of animosity to that ex. And I'm like, life is too short to sit there and be angry at somebody about something that happened 10 years ago, somebody that you're not even with, or 20 years ago, or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of, you know, like I said, my drop-dead gorgeous friend has never had kids, and she's dating some guy she met through another guy she was dating after they broke up. So it's like, you know.
Yeah.
And they're happy. They've been, the only thing I will say about him, which I think is really cool, she's a little bit, not really high maintenance, but, you know, she's the kind of girl that you wouldn't expect to do. He's got her going camping and hiking. They're always out doing stuff. And I'm glad, because, you know, she's always posting all these activities that they do together. And I'm like, wow, you know, I never knew you have this outdoorsy side to you. So
yeah.
I think he's teaching her different experiences. And, of course, she's there for him, too. So she's, you know, maybe high maintenance isn't quite the word, but there's somebody you wouldn't picture going hiking and camping and, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
It happens.
And again, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah, even with me, my comedy is on hold right now, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. Our dog is doing really great. The other dog that we got from Muttville, we had his senior because Bear's 11. He doesn't look 11, but he is 11. So we got this other little guy, and he's really sweet. But he tore his other ACL right when he was recovering from his other ACL surgery. So I have to be home to help him out to go to the bathroom, and he can't use the doggy door. And if he can, that might start maybe by Halloween. And when we got him in December, we hadn't even had him leak when he tore the first ACL. We were just walking down the street. I mean, literally 3 houses down. We're, like, walking, getting him out for any turn, and he cried. And I'm like, what the? And he couldn't put weight on his leg. So he, just when he was recovering from the other leg, we actually saw him scamper, kind of run, which he'd never seen because we hadn't even had him leak when he tore the ACL. And he fell and tore the other one. And I'm like, oh, God, just when he was starting to be, he was only about 4 weeks from being fully healed. So, but still he was pretty much 95% of the way. They said maybe end of June, they said, or early July, they said he should be fully done. Well, he tore the ACL like the second week of June, or maybe even the first week of June. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh, my God. That sucks.
So, yeah, but he's an inspiration, too. We got him, and we got him from, I guess he came out of Sacramento, and Muttville got him because he was brought to a shelter. They told him to put him to sleep. And he had a bunch of rotten teeth, and he was really overweight. His owners did that to him. He didn't sit there and feed himself. He weighed 75 pounds. The dog was supposed to weigh about 50. So when we got him, he was 66 pounds. They'd gotten almost 10 pounds off of him. And we've got him down to about 58 now. And the rescue covered getting all the teeth pulled. And the poor guy had to have 12 teeth pulled. I was horrified.
Yeah.
And I dropped him off at our vet who partners with them. And I called to see how he was doing, and they said, well, it's taking longer than we thought. And I said, okay, fine. And when I got him, he still wasn't out of the anesthesia. They had to put a reversing agent in.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time they were done, and they told me he lost 12 teeth, I was horrified.
Yeah, I would
he's
too.
Still in the anesthesia. He's too heavy for me to lift. And then we had to do the fail surgery once he was recovered from the tooth surgery. And then once his teeth healed, oh my gosh, his whole demeanor changed. He must have had so much tooth pain. I could have killed him.
Oh.
So he had all these setbacks. The teeth are, now he's fine and happy. I mean, I don't get him stuff that I know. All the treats I get are soft, so I know he can eat them. I brush his teeth. He's lost more weight. His arthritis is better because he's lost more weight. And he's walking around the house exercising that leg as much as he can. Because he wants to, I can tell he's like, I want to get back to normal. But again, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at someone like him, he was given a death sentence by people that just, yeah, he had problems, but they were your fault,
Yeah.
He shouldn't have the arthritis at all. He shouldn't have had rotten teeth at all, And they're like, you know what, too expensive, put him to sleep. Thank God they got the call saying this dog's got plenty of life left in him. I mean, I know we'll be lucky if we have him for 2 years. I get that. And we knew that. We didn't expect 2 more ACLs.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's sitting there dealing with all this crap, and he's not letting it get him down.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I like.
call him and go, you think you got problems with this little guy,
Yeah. Oh my God! I did a podcast the other day with a horror movie actress from the '80s, and I made her have an orgasm on air.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see how you could do that.
It was an accident. There's a game that I like to play with guests on the show and stuff. And one of the questions I asked her was, oh God, what was it? I asked her what her favorite body part was, and I swear to God, she had this huge orgasm on the air, and it was quite funny, actually.
You asked her what her favorite body part was?
Yeah.
On her?
Or just anybody in general, and she just went, ah! I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was amazing, because I've done a couple podcasts where I've had an orgasm on the air, but I never made anyone else orgasm.
Okay, so it's turning into the 976 numbers. It's what your podcast is turning into.
Just with very special, very selective guests.
So who was it, though? I'm just curious.
Her name is Susie Stokey. She did this movie called The Power in 1984.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's a very scary supernatural horror film. It's very underrated, too. It's kind of like, do you remember that movie, The Gate?
Yeah, I did see that, I think. Is that the one with Johnny Depp in it, I think?
No, Stephen Dorff.
Okay.
It was like that. It has, things like emerging from the wind and just creating very tense and scary stuff on screen, It's a movie like that.
Yeah.
It was very low budget, but they pulled it off really good.
Yeah, well, Night of the Living Dead was low budget next to in the top 50 best movies ever made. It was just so well done.
I watched that last night. I've been so lucky to interview people from the franchise.
Yeah, well, George Romero died a few years ago, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Did you ever get to meet him?
Never got to meet him. I was going to. There was going to be a con in San Jose in October of 2017, but the fucking California fires canceled it and couldn't come, but it didn't matter because he died that July, so.
Yeah. Well, I know Johnny Ramone was a big horror movie fan. Him and Rob Zombie, I guess, were good friends, and supposedly he has got this huge collection of horror posters, so I don't know if you could ever talk to Linda Ramone and go, can I just come by the house and check it out?
I have
hopefully she didn't get rid of it after he passed away, but you never know.
Yeah, I have a Rock and Roll High School poster I bought at a convention a couple weeks ago, and I'm gonna ask him to sign it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've got actually the Ramones poster that it was when CJ was in the band, though. CJ doesn't count. Dee Dee had left for a while, but I got an autographed poster for the Ramones, like in the early 90s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then Dee Dee got back in the band. I mean, I saw them a couple more times after that. And I think I told you I got to work on the benefit. Right before Johnny died, we were doing Ramones thing at the Palace in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And Joey was gone by this time, and Johnny was so sick with prostate cancer. He couldn't make it, so Linda came instead. And then I heard literally a couple days later Johnny died. You know, and that sucked. But when I got back to work the following Monday, the money that was raised, it was a little over $12,000 for both charities. So I got to write the checks for the check for Joey, the check for Johnny, to prostate cancer, and the other one was some kind of, because Joey had leukemia, so it was a leukemia foundation.
Yeah.
So that was actually probably my proudest moment of all the years I worked for the promoter, was signing a couple checks or whatever. Right? I didn't sign them. That's right. I had to write out checks. That's what I did, and then my boss signed them.
Yeah.
I didn't write out checks that often, but she was like, I know you want to write these checks. Here you go. Like another time, it was really funny. She called me to her office. She goes, I need you to write out a check. And I'm like, okay. So I thought that was odd. And it was a check for over $1 million. I don't even know who it was to.
Mm-hmm.
But she goes, well, I thought this would be fun for you. You're writing a check for over $1 million. And I'm like, well, it's not made out to me. And I got to write all these numbers and make it very legible. So no, this isn't as fun as you would think. But that was the whole thing. She thought I'd get a blast, kind of, writing a check for over $1 million to some band or their LLC or their incorporation or whatever,
Yeah.
But anyway,
you have such a good heart, Catherine.
Well, I think you do too. Actually, I wanted to ask you about something else. How's the weight loss going?
Oh, okay. So right now, last few months, it's been really, really hard. I gained 7 pounds when I was in LA, and then I tried to get back on, and then once the shit happened in May, I slipped back down. But I'm in the process of getting back into it, though. I'm drinking my Premier shakes again, and I've cut back. I do not drink any more soda or caffeine. Occasionally I drink in Arizona, iced tea or something. But other than that, I've been off the soda. And my mom makes fresh vegetables. She retired from her job, so she's home again. So she makes me, fresh vegetables and meals and stuff like that. But I still got a long way to go to get back.
Hey, it's hard. I've lost almost 8 pounds, and I put a couple of them back on, and then I'm like, okay, what does that tell you? Get back on the horse, so don't let that deter you. And I'll try to be more supportive online, but it's always helpful to have a support system.
Oh, so, yeah, I try.
So one of the things, too, I quit soda years ago. Once in a great while, I'll have a Coca-Cola, because that's the only kind I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just the carbonation that I like. So I got these ice drinks, and they got something like 18 different flavors. And I find those really good. And they zero sugar, natural flavors.
Yeah.
Those are good. And, sparkling water, too. Erin has got like a line with like lemon and pomegranate in the sparkling water, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're getting some flavor with it. Or my brother-in-law used to buy those things where you squeeze the drops into stuff because he didn't like water. I personally like water, so.
Yeah.
But water's your friend.
Yes, it is. When I was on my diet in 2006, it was my best friend. I drank it so many times a day, every day. I spent a lot of time in the bathroom peeing, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah, and then my other friend actually told me, and I bought some alkaline water. and he swears by it. He was like, so I went online to read, and the alkaline, when you have alkaline water, or when you make it yourself, although you can buy a filter that will make it alkaline, it just raises the pH, and it basically, as it comes to your body, it's more hydrating than regular water.
Mm-hmm.
You think, well, what's the difference, really? So I bought like a half gallon of it, and I was, like the night before I'd had a couple drinks, and they hit me really hard, and so I, 2 is my maximum, and even then sometimes that could be too much. And I remember the next morning thinking, gosh, I don't feel too good. I got a little hangover going on, which kind of pissed me off. I was trying a friend of mine come over, that's right, and so she was still, we were drinking, and I'm like, we need to eat something. But at any rate, the next day, I thought, well, I'm going to really pound this alkaline water, and it made me feel better, like, almost immediately. And I was like, whoa, okay. Obviously being better in the hydration here, but, was what really did it. Not like some kind of miracle, but when you can hydrate better, because alcohol dehydrates you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. Yeah, I'll get back on it and stuff. I'm going to be visiting my dad in Washington pretty soon, and I haven't seen him in 3 years, and I'm excited about that. And we'll do some
Washington D.C. or Washington State.
Washington State. He lives in Marysville, and he doesn't he drinks, but he doesn't eat a whole lot and stuff. So I'll be good, with the eating part and stuff. But we'll go to there's this casino over there. Oh my God, they got one of the best bacon cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, those aren't gonna do you too much. I mean, if you want to have it, you should have it. Otherwise, you're gonna feel deprived.
It's moderation.
But, yeah, moderation, and also what I started doing is if I'm gonna have a burger, I love cheese on them, obviously, but I'm like, no cheese, no bun, things like that. I don't really eat bacon either, but, but still like to see, or maybe what you can do is either tell them no bacon or no cheese, or tell them to put half the amount of bacon and cheese. That way you still get it, but you're not, think about your arteries.
Yeah. But it's just going to be moderation. I won't make a habit out of it, Yeah,
that's true. I mean, you're going to one place and you like the one thing they have, so that's true.
Yeah, I especially want to, lose weight by the end of the year so I can, get my headshots taken.
Oh, yeah, I hear you on when you were asking me if I have another headshot. Yeah, I want to lose weight, and at the same time, too, I've just been busy, with the dogs primarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I still have to get back out there. It's like, but my neighbors come back on the 31st. Their dog, they don't have a doggy door anyway, but their dog, I have to let them out, 4 or 5 times a day to go, So it's like, I'm back home during the day from work, taking care of our, if I wasn't taking care of their dog, I still have to let our guy out too, because he can't use the doggy door anyway, but that was definitely something I didn't plan when we first adopted him, but, at any rate,
yeah.
He's not going anywhere. And if I have to spend, the next couple of years coming home at lunch, it's not the end of the world, really. So,
yeah.
Kind of nice. But at any rate, yeah, I gotta get back out there. I can make all the excuses I want, but, once I got them all tucked in for the night, I easily have a couple hours before I have to worry about doing anything for either of them. But that's kind of the drag, though, too. If you email someone like Heather and tell her, she's cool with it. I've never flaked on a date yet, because the Tommy T's, they want you there to sign up, and if you don't get there at a certain amount of time, granted I've shown up late probably because I had to feed the dogs, and they're like, we'll fit you in, because, they've seen me there, so far I've never not gotten up, so, which is nice, but there are times when you get there and the list is already, well, they don't do more than 30 people, and that's a lot of people for just your, but I also need to do some other locations. It's not like I don't have access to, the whole list like they bacon and everything that everybody gives you.
Yeah.
I'm just being lazy, I think.
Yeah. So here's that game that I was talking about. So how this works is, I ask you a silly question, you answer it, and then you ask me, and I answer it.
Okay.
The same question every time. Catherine.
How come I have a feeling yours is going to be your answers to be highly sexualized? All right, go ahead.
It's all in good fun. Catherine, are you ticklish?
Yes. Tommy, are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish, yes. What's your favorite part of the body?
Of my body or other people's bodies?
Either way.
My favorite feature has always been my belly button. It's very tiny.
Oh my God, that's what I was going to say for me. I love belly buttons.
Yeah, when I first heard Jacob pierce your navel, I pierced mine in 1990, long before people were doing it. But now I have a scar there, so I might tattoo around it. We'll see. I don't like the little scar. But they had said, they go, this belly button's very tiny. They go, it might not last. And they were right. It was just too tiny. So.
My belly button is my G-spot.
I wouldn't say it's that. I just like it. I don't know why. It's just always been little. It's an innie. I don't know how anybody can have an outie, but I guess you can. But, you know.
Oh, I've met quite a few people with outies, especially in show business. Yeah.
I would get that surgically changed. I have seen even models, and I'm like, oh my God, no, do something about that. But I don't know why. It's just adorable. So your favorite body feature is your belly button. Okay, what's your next question?
Yes. What color are your toenails painted?
Oh, that's easy. Metallic silver.
Nice.
What color are your toenails painted, Tommy?
They have clear polish.
Oh, that's good that you take care of your toenails. I need to get my husband into it. He keeps teasing me. I'm like, dude, get a mani-pedi.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest rock stars in the world get manicures because it helps them with the dexterity to play guitar.
Yeah, when I was in LA back in April, I had blue-green because Easter was on the way, and they looked really cute.
Blue and green?
Yeah, blue-green.
Oh, bluish green. Oh.
It's an Easter egg color.
Yeah, I used to. In the 80s, I would do the occasional. It was back then. It was like, oh my God, you got blue polish. That's so weird. I'm like, whatever. Now, of course, nobody cares if you have blue hair. And it's like, oh, I did have blue hair in high school. They never go home though. Like the things that they think are going to be a problem.
And here's my favorite question: is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Oh yeah, cleaning up after the dog. Dog poop. Is there a stinky smell that makes you gag, Tommy?
After I got out of the hospital, I had really bad athlete's foot for about 6 months. That was bad.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain things you might want to keep to yourself.
I wish I could, but I've told so many guests that.
Yeah. That's all right. It's not like you're on a date.
Yeah.
If you ever go on a date, save that. Don't, no.
At least, not on the first date, at least.
Yeah, wait till the second or third before you reveal those things.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're not giving up on things. I've been seeing, there's some days where I can tell you're really down. Don't, life is too short, You're going to get to LA. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
No.
I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
LA
joined.
isn't the be-all, end-all. There's a lot of stuff up here, even. They have started to move more production out of LA because people just got kind of greedy,
Yeah.
So I have to admit, it's still mostly when my in-laws were here, we went down south for Tim's brother's wedding. It's pretty funny. Both guys moved out from Maine, and both of them meet SoCal girls.
Mm-hmm.
But she was up here going to San Jose State, so that's how we met her. But her family's in SoCal, so we went down for the wedding, and then I thought, well, parents were always asking me about Hollywood and stuff, so I gave them a tour of Hollywood, and of all things, I told them growing up you'd see like these neon signs that would say like blue or start or just a single word, and that was for filming locations.
Yeah.
You know, you could say better. It didn't matter what it was. You could say, but that was the word for whatever the movie was. Like even, I'm sure you heard about Star Wars was called Blue Harvest for a long time.
Yes, it was.
So they might have a sign that says blue, right? And even where I grew up, they ended up they filmed the Karate Kid down the street from my house. They filmed a lot of different things. You know, growing up, you'd just be like, oh, they're filming again. So as I'm driving, when we see some neon signs, we drove right into a shoot. And it was like, oh. And I was kind of showing them some of the really nice houses off of Highland and some of the places I used to frequent and, you know, those famous people's houses, stuff like that. So we're driving through, and I mean, it's probably the biggest shoot I've ever physically, you know, been around. I was like, whoa, they had all these chain link fences in front of this gorgeous house, and
yeah.
I think they had a sign that there was a penitentiary or something, and it said, oh, you know, and of course they got the police there, so they're trying to escort us through, but the only way to go through was kind of drive along the chute. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. They said, no, just wait, then we're going to have you drive through. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, oh, there, you got to see a shoot.
Have you ever...
I take them up to Hollywood Boulevard, and they're doing a movie premiere for Tammy. So I'm like, oh, well, you're the movie premiere. I was like, you guys have caught everything, you know, all within the half an hour there. But I drove them along, showed them where I used to live, showed them when my dad moved to L.A. when he was 25. So that was 1955. He lived in Hollywood.
Have you ever been to Dearly Departed tours?
No, but my cousin wanted to do that, and I said, you know, we could do that. I mean, there's a few places like my
friend Terry Bolo works there.
Yeah, oh really? Because my cousin keeps wanting to do that, so I told her, you know, there's some places I know, like the Knickerbocker, you know, that's supposedly where William Frawley passed away, and W.C. Fields, I want to say, was somewhere near there too.
Yeah.
And then there's the Roosevelt, but I don't think anybody ever died of the Roosevelt. Supposedly it's haunted, but, you know, I stayed there by the pool one time. So that was after my husband and it was after I moved up here, so I went back down to LA. I said, oh, let's see the Roosevelt. But that was funny, too, because the Roosevelt used to have the Cinegrill. I don't know if they still do.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad was in there, and he went to get a drink. And they asked him for his ID, and they gave me ID. My maiden name is Hall, by the way. And they're like, wait, Mr. Hall. And he was like, what the? And it ends up, I guess, somebody named Hall owned the hotel. I was like, well, Dad, once you found that out, you should have been in there all the time. You know, just eat for free until they figure out you're not related to the guy that owns the place. It was pretty funny when he used to like to go to, like, Trader Vic's.
Yeah.
You know, all those places that, you know, he was a young guy, he would go to the Coconut Grove and, you know, listen to the Ambassador. And, you know. So I like to frequent those places when I go down south of Oak at Trader Vic's and have a drink for my dad, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah. So I'll see what happens, you know. I mean, I'm keeping my head up high. I mean, I joined this casting call group here over in Reading called Shasta Film, and they're having a meet and greet event in September where aspiring filmmakers, actors, producers, writers, the whole 9 yards are going to be meeting. And so, you know, maybe something good will come from that. Who knows?
Well, also, you might want to subscribe to Theater Bay Area. They have a lot of audition information there, too.
Yeah, but I'm 3 hours away.
No, that's from the Bay Area, yeah, but you never know what might be shooting somewhere else. I mean, you have no idea. They could be shooting up in Oregon, and they're looking for people, you know.
Yeah.
So, but again, you know, when you're down in LA too, there's a lot of stuff. My friend does casting too, but she's primarily working on the Housewives series, so I think she's pretty much locked into that thing now. But before that, she was doing Survivor for a while. And she hit me up, and I said, oh, I'll do Survivor. I'll do it, absolutely. And I'm showering every day, and I'm not going to do a single challenge. She's like, that's not what I'm looking for. And I said, well, I'll do the show if you want me to. I'll be the most hated person on the thing, and then they can finally vote me off, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hadn't really watched it ever, and then I saw, and they said some girl, I guess, had done a challenge to Steffi shampoo. I'm like, what? I'm like, screw that. I'm like, I'm bathing every day. You need to tell me that that's, you know, she climbed a tree and got a coconut. I have no idea how she did the challenge, but I'm like, nope. I'm not climbing any trees to get coconuts. I'm not doing any of that stuff.
Here's a couple of jokes for your anniversary.
Okay.
Why do men like to marry virgins?
I don't know, Tommy, why?
Because they can't stand criticism.
Okay, next one.
How do you make your wife? How do you make your wife scream twice?
Just by not doing what she asked for once. No.
In a way, first you fuck her up the ass, and then you wipe your dick on the curtain.
Oh, no. Okay, next one.
Can you imagine how big that stain would be? Okay. What happens what happens to your asshole when you're having an orgasm?
I don't know, Tommy, what?
He's out drinking with the boys.
That's pretty funny.
They're
I mean, a joke about dogs and made my husband one of the dogs, so, you know, but he has no problem with me using him in my act.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, those jokes are
I don't really, like, get on him either. He's a really good person, so.
Yeah.
You know.
Those jokes are pretty misogynistic, aren't they?
No, not really. No, I've definitely heard far worse.
Yeah.
You know, like, I made a joke. It had been raining here a lot, and I was complaining, you know, that I didn't want my house to become a houseboat. And then I just made up this thing, this neighbor who's kind of apocalyptic in his thinking, was building an ark. And that didn't annoy me half as much as when I came home and my dogs were missing. And I'm like, I guess he took them, you know, the animals 2 by 2. And so I went over and I said, look, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. I'll take the short, hairy one, and you can keep the one I married. You know, that was the joke. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, it's like, but, you know, I don't make too many jokes. I mean, most of the jokes are either self-deprecating or, you know, and a lot of it is just true stuff that happened that's freaking funny or just perspectives that are funny.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I try to do that, too. You know, I do a lot of one-liner stuff because I just don't want to, like, you know, be like every comedian who's talking about my life. I just want to make everybody laugh, you know?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, life is funny. I mean, that's like the silly things that happen, and you're like, oh, gosh, I gotta write that down, you know? It's just silly things.
Like recently, I went to a glory hole party.
Nobody wants to go to one of those, Tommy.
Oh, I loved it. I'd go back, I'll tell you. It was pretty cool. Yeah, my god sister, she has a friend who puts these on and stuff, and she's got this like custom made wall with holes next to each other with like 10 holes, you know, and I got this blowjob. I thought, you know, I don't know if I ever told you this, Catherine, but I go both ways, you know, and so getting a blowjob from a guy doesn't freak me out, and that's what I got. But I could have swore it was a woman because his tongue was just so sensuous, I'll tell you. And after it was revealed that it was a guy and stuff, I gave him a great big kiss and thanked him for that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, you know, my friend's daughter that was living here is gay, and I could care less, you know.
Yeah.
Or I guess more like she's bi, because she was dating a guy before, and now actually, I guess she was with a guy now, but she's like, when she decided that she was a lesbian, that confused her because when she was in high school, she dated a couple guys, but not anything really big. She said it was more like they were friends. So then she, and then later on when she met this guy, I remember she was rather confused, and my friend was talking to me, she goes, I had to just sit her down and go, look, who you like is who you like, and don't be freaked out that you're suddenly liking this guy,
Yeah.
So, I think, there's a lot of people that are polyamorous, nothing wrong with that.
Oh, I interviewed.
Protect yourself, though.
Oh yeah, there's a sex educator who's a well-known polyamorous. Her name is Dirty Lola. I interviewed her back in January, and we had such a fun time talking about sex and like personal experiences and stuff. We were just completely filthy the entire time, and she was supposed to come back on about a month ago, and then I had a Twitter war with another sex educator that she's friends with. They're both, what we call now woke, freaking social justice warriors. And we had like a debate over the word dyke and shit. And so, yeah, her and I are never going to talk again, unfortunately. But we had a really good time talking, and she's polyamorous.
Yeah, well, again, there's a lot of people that are very PC, and they're trying to, I guess, cover everybody's feelings. So that doesn't bother me. I mean, you have to remember, too, I work for a state university, so
yeah,
we are very PC, and I deal with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and different orientations and what have you. But again, I don't care. I support all my, coworkers and my kids, definitely. It's like, you can mess with me, but if I feel that you're harassing one of my students, heaven help you. But most of the people I work with are the same way, too. One of the top administrators for the university, he and I were both walking into the store, and we had a trans student that just happened to be ahead of us. And these two kids grabbed their phones to take a picture of them, and he shut them down like that. He's like, what do you think you're doing? He's a pretty big guy, too, physically, but he's like, then the guys put their cameras away and get their phone and walked away. And I was like, good job, dude. But, I mean, he caught on quicker than I did, and he physically turned and was like, not here.
Yeah, it's stupid bullshit. It's hypocritical. But I thank you so much again, Catherine, for coming back on. And, I don't...
No problem. I think our interviews turn into more about life, though. I don't think they're going to be that interesting. But,
I always have fun with you and stuff because, every time I talk to other comedians from the Bay Area, especially girls, they're just so easily offended and woke and shit. But, with you, I just have an absolute ball.
Well, I know you like to go the sexual route, and that's just your sense of humor. I get that. I will say one thing, though. I really like Jim Gaffigan and Gabriel Iglesias, and I'm kind of trying to be more funny along those lines, just because I do remember one of my sets. It was actually one of my worst sets. Fortunately, I didn't bomb, but I mean, I was just swearing through the whole thing. I remember later on going, why were you swearing so much? Do you feel like your material wasn't strong enough? And I think that's exactly what I was thinking. And I thought, that you got to have quality material. And it doesn't matter what genre, even if you want to go with, like, ultra blue humor or whatever they call it. It's just got to be quality. I mean, Andrew Dice Clay had that route. And it's like, and that worked for him. And for some people, that, and he's not the only one. There's quite a few others, too. But I have to admit, too, I've seen a few comics that were actually professional, and I won't name names because some of them are very nice people, but oh my God, the entire evening was nothing but sucking dick.
Yeah.
And that could be fine, but it was like, this guy went on, and I'm like, dude, you had 10 minutes of cheap material that you switched out into an hour.
Maybe he was working on a one-man show.
Was there, huh?
Maybe he was working on a one-man show.
Oh my God. Well, they really weren't very good. And another time, another comic invited me to be in his show. And again, like I said, I won't name names. And some of my students were there, and his tour people started coming up. And again, it was nothing but there, too, that one time he goes, that was the worst show I've ever seen. And he's like, that guy wasn't even funny, and he was a headliner. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that was horrible. You know, and we were sitting up by the front, so we didn't want to leave because we didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings. So we stayed for the entire show, and I was like, that was awful. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, when I hear that kind of stuff, and like I said, the students, they were like, the next people on that tour and the headliner, it was like good solid hour of dick jokes. And I told my aunt, I'm like, just go ahead and go. I got to stay because he invited me to be here, and I'm going to show my appreciation by staying here no matter how horrible the show is. You know? And she's like, no, I'll hang. You know, it was a different time than the other time when my brothers, we'd gone there to see a show for kicks. And we're like, okay, this is awful. We still talk about that show and how awful it was, but I have to admit, though, it's like, if you're going to do dick jokes, at least have some variety instead of basically telling the same exact joke over and over again, you know, throughout the entire night. You're just like, whoa, you have no material.
Yeah.
None. Condense it, and then you might be better. You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I think sometimes people are just like, you know, if you're funny, but if you're just going to go up there and try for the lowest common denominator of, I'm going to be as crude as I possibly can, the first couple of times people are going to laugh, and then after a while they're going to go, okay, you got anything else? It's funny. I don't think it's so much that people are offended so much that they're just like, my younger brother, I mean, he doesn't care if it's dirty jokes at all, but he was like, that was awful. He's like, he's like, the guy just had nothing. I said, I know. So,
yeah, but at least
use everything.
Yeah, but at least you get, you know, that I have a persona, and you know that, you know, it's all in good fun, and that I'm not serious.
Oh, I know that. Oh no, I know that. Even these other comics, they're not up there to. I did have that one time they had to grab the MC, and I was about ready to go on, and I guess he got in some guy's face and kept telling him, he goes, you know, your mom sucked dick because you wouldn't be here if she didn't, and he was there to club with his mother. And he got really angry. But from what I heard, because again, I was not where I could physically see. I was behind the curtain over at Tommy T's in the lobby, and just waiting to go on. And suddenly they had the MC, and they grabbed him and rushed him upstairs because the guy wanted to fight him. Then they grabbed the guy and his mom, and they fixed him. And I could hear the mom saying, "Baby, it's just jokes. Baby, it's just jokes." But then I heard from other people, they're like, he pretty much got in his face and wouldn't. I'm like, that's attacking the audience. You don't do that either. There's no reason to attack the audience. Why would anybody want to be attacked? You could kid around with them a little bit, but I've definitely thrown a joke out into the audience, but they've never been malicious. Ever. You know, and this guy was like, you know, he, I guess, just kept trying to prove a point to this guy. I guess. And it's like, it stops being funny when you're upsetting somebody, you know, but I guess the MC, so they grabbed him, and I'm like, you know, and then the headliner came out there, and he's like, everybody is all in good fun. And of course, that's what I think the audience needed to hear, but the person that was offended was already on their way out the door when that happened, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, but from what I heard from other people, they're like, yeah, he was getting in his face, and I'm like, yeah, you don't do that to an audience member ever. I don't care what kind of joke you're telling them, you know. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, you know, but I also said that to the mom. She's like, baby, it's just jokes. Baby, it's just jokes. It's okay, you know. But he was livid, you know.
Yeah.
So, because I heard they're like, there's a fight. I'm like, there's a fight? I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, Catherine, I hope you have a happy anniversary today, and I'll talk to you soon. Yeah, you take good care. Yeah, we're just kicking it for today. I told him last night, we watched a movie. I said, that's what I want to do, is just sit here with you and have a couple drinks with our dog and watch a movie. So, that's how exciting we are. All right, Tommy, well, you take good care of yourself, okay? And don't give up on what you want to accomplish, okay? I won't. I am keeping my eyes on the prize. And exactly. And Catherine, please, from me today, give him a blowjob. All right, take care, Tommy. Okay, take care. All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Catherine Cyr. Ain't she a sweetheart? I love her so much. She is so fucking awesome. To me, one of the crown jewels of the Bay Area comedy scene. And I don't say that very much. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.